Okay, how you doing? Good evening, good afternoon. How's everyone? Okay, so this is how we gonna do. How to cook shrimp and grits. All right, so we pretty much gonna be reading this recipe. It's simple. You're just gonna read it, but we're gonna put a little twist on it because I'm gonna give you that Gullah Geechee slang. All right. So whenever you're ready, I got the thing. I got pretty much the recipes written in English. You can read along. If you can't hear or if it's going too fast for you, just go ahead and just hit the rewind button, read it, and you'll be fine. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So today we're gonna cook that shrimp and grits. All right. So first, let's go ahead and move on to the first slide. What you need, please make sure you got some grits in your house, and make sure it could be the original one. It could be the one you got to put on the stove, microwave it. It really don't matter as long as you got some grits, okay? But normally we put them on the stove, and you got to read that bag that it come with. Make sure you making it before you make the shrimp, and make sure it's not too hard, it's not too watery. Make sure it's just right, okay? Then you're gonna get you some raw shrimp. Make sure the back of them is deveined. After you peel them off, so you can peel all the shells off, and make sure that you go ahead and look on the back of the shrimp, cut out that sandbag, okay? All right, and then you can put all kind of meat in them you want. You could put some sausage, some bacon. It really don't matter as long as you got that shrimp in it. You all good. All right. So the seasoning. All you need is some garlic powder, salt and pepper. Put a couple pinches of the garlic powder and salt and pepper when you do make your shrimp. Okay. So what we do is what we call eyeballing. Eyeballing is pretty much just us looking at measurements, okay? And I'm gonna put that into another slide where we're just looking at the measurements. When we cook, it's not really a standard measurement. Normally the thing's about a half a cup, but I'm gonna put them on there for you. So when I say just eyeball them, you know to just look at the screen, okay? So a half a cup of flour, you're gonna eyeball that flour. And then you just need about one onion. Make sure it's either young, yellow, white. Just make sure it's an onion, okay? If you got the red one, that's fine. But we normally do it with the white onion or the yellow onion. Then you're gonna get some vegetable oil. All you need about 2-3 tablespoons of that because you ain't gonna need too much to go ahead and fry all them shrimp. You ain't about to deep fry them, so that's why you don't need them. All right, so this skillet right here. The skillet, you can use the skillet because, from my opinion, when you use the skillet, it's pretty much going to be it's going to be wide enough for you to fry your shrimp, fry your onion. It's going to be even. The temperature going to be all right. So that's why we use the skillet. You can use you a frying pan or a Dutch oven or whatever you choose to use, but I'm going to let you know now, it might burn up the oil too fast. So if you put the oil in it and it's smoking, then you know you did it wrong. So just go ahead and put on medium warm, medium low, and see how that do. And then just adjust it depending on how fast it's frying. All right, so back to what I was saying, the eyeballing. When you eyeball, it refers to looking at them. When somebody say, just go ahead and put some flour in them, that's up to you to tell how much you feeding, how many people you feeding. If you feeding just one person, then you know, okay, let me do a half a cup of this. If you feeding like three or more people, if you got a big family, then you know you need to put about 3, 4, 5 cups in there, okay? So it's just depending on how y'all like to do things and how many people you feeding. But in this case, we just gonna go ahead and just do about maybe a cup, half a cup, cup and a half. Okay, so this part should be easy for you now. Go ahead and get your pan. Make sure it's on medium low. All right. You don't want nothing cooking too fast. So you're gonna get about a teaspoon, maybe one or two. Put the oil in that skillet. Let the skillet warm up. Then you're gonna chop your onions up. Throw your onions in the skillet. Go ahead and let them cook down, which is when it's soft. So you're gonna stir them up while they're cooking, and then when you see that it's cooked down, then you should be done with that. All right, next, you seasoning your shrimp at this point. Your shrimp should have already been, the shell should have been off. You should have already deveined it. And then, which is take that sandbag out of them. And now you should have rinsed that shrimp off. So now drain out that water. Your shrimp should be in a bowl with nothing on them, okay? So you get some garlic powder. Get about a couple of pinches of that garlic powder because it ain't salty. So it doesn't matter how much you put on them. Get a few pinches of salt. If you don't need salt, then just omit the salt. Get some pepper, a couple of pinches of pepper, throw that in there. Then you're gonna get a half a cup of flour, sprinkle it on top of the shrimp already in the bowl. And then after that, get your clean hand, mix them up real good with your hand, and it should be evenly coated. Make sure it's at least a light coat of flour on all of the shrimp, okay? Next, go back to that pan where you got that onions already in. Add the shrimp in with the onions. It should be a little bit of grease in it too, because you need that grease to fry up that shrimp. So when you fry up the shrimp, you let it sit on one side for a little bit, then you stir it up, onion and all, and let it fry on the other side until it's golden brown, okay? So now let's move on. So this is the gravy. This is the best part now. You can't mess this one up. You mess up the gravy, you might as well just go ahead and just make another pan because ain't nobody gonna eat them. All right, so have a few cups of water. Take about maybe about a cup or two. Put it in a frying pan with the shrimp, just plain water. Now you're gonna let it sit. You're gonna stir it up and let it thicken on medium low again. Sit there. You can watch them. Stir it up if it get too clunky. Then you're gonna add a pinch of seasoning to taste into the gravy. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna keep stirring it. Make sure you season them a little bit if you need to season them. And if it tastes good, just let it sit. Lower it down. Put it on low, and then you're gonna let it sit for a little bit. If it's too thick, then like I said, put a little bit of water in it. If it's too thick for you, don't add no more flour. Whatever you do, because the more flour you add, the worse it's gonna get, and it's just gonna get clunky, sticky, white, and it's just gonna taste like straight flour, and you don't want that. All right. Last but not least, make sure that grits got some butter in them. I know you saw them on the last slide. I know you've been reading it, but just make sure before you serve somebody some grits, some cold grits, put that butter in them and make sure that it's seasoned. Make sure that it's flavorful. Because ain't nobody want no grits that's plain. Because you can have good gravy and all that, but somebody gonna eat them grits and they gonna tell you ain't put no salt on them, no butter, no nothing. So please make sure that you butter the grits first. Then you can put some additional toppings on it. If you want green onions, cut up some green onions and put it on top to garnish it. You want a little bit of crumbled bacon, you can do that too. Like I said in the beginning, you can add sausage in it, cooked sausage, whatever you want to do. Like pan fry the sausage, chop it up like the picture got. You can add it on top. However your taste is. If you don't like pork, you can just omit it altogether. Some people be as fancy as adding mushroom and all that. I don't do the mushroom part, but I mean, hey, you could try it if you want to try it, but that's just pretty much it. So I just hope you enjoy your meal, that you love the recipe, and you come back again.